Okay, so we already know from the previous lecture that a perfectly competitive firm, he cannot choose his own price. He has to use the price given by the market. But a perfectly competitive firm can choose his output. He can decide on the best quantity to produce. So the firm need to make the following decision. Number one decision is that should the firm produce at all. And the second decision is that if they decide to produce, then what quantity should the firm produce? So we will be covering point two first, and we will be discussing in this video about how the firm makes the decision about quantity. So what quantity should a firm produce? What should be the level of production that a perfectly competitive firm will produce in the short run? So the answer to that is that the firm will produce a quantity which would either maximize its economic profit or it would minimize its loss. So there are two cases. Number one is that in the first case, the firm is incurring both losses and profit. So the firm will decide to produce a quantity or the level of production at which his profits are, at which his economic profits are maximized. The second case is that the firm is incurring losses throughout the level of production. So, what will the firm do in this case? So, if the firm is incurring losses throughout the level of production, it has two choices. Either it can close down production for some time, or it can choose the level of production in which his losses are being minimized. So the best quantity to produce for a farm is that either it chooses a quantity which would maximize its economic profit, or it would choose a quantity which would minimize his loss. So how to find the best quantity? How will the firm find the best quantity? How will he decide on the how will he make the decision about the level of production? So there are two approaches. The number one approach is the total revenue total cost approach, and the second approach is the marginal revenue marginal cost approach, and this is called marginal analysis. So in this video, we will be doing the total revenue, total cost approach. And just like the name suggests, we will be comparing total revenues with total costs. So before when we talk about total revenue and total cost, we will be discussing the profit formula. So the profit formula is profit is equal to total revenue minus total cost. So the formula for total revenue is price multiplied by quantity sold, and and then from the total revenues we subtract total costs, and we can either get a profit or a loss. So the formula for total revenue is price multiplied by quantity sold. It means the number of units sold by any firm multiplied by the price of the product. And when we subtract total cost from it, we get either a profit or a loss. If total revenues are greater than total costs, we will get a positive value, which would mean the firm is incurring a profit. And if total revenues are less than total costs, we will get a negative value. And this means that the firm is incurring a loss. So profit occurs when revenues are greater than total costs, so we get a profit. But when revenues are less than total cost, our cost of production is more than the revenues that we incur when we sell the product, that means that we will be incurring a loss. So the firm will find out the profit for all levels of production, and he will choose the level of production where either his profit is being maximized or his loss is being minimized. So we will use the table from the previous video. The market price is $131. So we have quantity, the different levels of production, and then we have the price. So we already know that a perfectly competitive firm will use the market price for all levels of production. And we already calculated total revenues in the previous video. Total revenue is price multiplied by quantity. For example, when quantity is 1, price is 131, so total revenue is 131 multiplied by 1, which is 131. When quantity is 2, price is 131, so we multiply price with quantity, and we will get total revenues of 262. So we already calculated total revenues in the previous lecture. In this table, I have just added the total cost data. Now, this total cost data is the total cost of a perfectly competitive firm in the short run. So these are short run total. These are short run total cost. Okay, so now we will find out the profit for each level of production. So for example, when the level of production is 2, total revenue is 262, and we subtract total revenues with total cost 262 minus 270. And in this case, 262, the total revenue is less than total cost. So we will get a loss of minus 8. So I will fill the last two rows over here. Total revenue is 1,179, and we will subtract total cost from it, and we will get a profit of 299. Okay. In the last row, total revenue is 1,310, and when we subtract total cost of 1,030, we get total profit of 280. Okay. So, uh, so 1,310 minus 1,030. Since total revenues are greater than total cost, so we are getting a profit of 280. So which quantity will the firm produce given the profit and loss data? The firm will produce quantity 9 units because over here his profit is maximized. He's getting maximum profit of 299 at 9 units. So the answer will be that at the market price of 131, the firm will maximize his profit at 9 units or 9 level of production. That means that he will produce 9 units to maximize his profit at the market price of $131. And you can see over here that 299 is the maximum profit. So throughout the level of production, he is incurring both losses and profits, and he's going to choose the level of production where profits are maximized. So, so over here, we made a table and we calculate uh, the profits to determine the level of production in which he's getting maximum profit.